On today's episode of Anime Afterthought, Tower of God, Episode 3, The Corrector. This was a pretty good episode. Not only did it highlight, once again, Tower of God's high-quality visual aesthetics in the form of composition as well as video effects, but I must applaud its character creation. There seems no limit to how unique these individuals are. I mean, today's episode had a giant talking balloon man, so yeah, it's pretty badass. Now, coming off last week's episode, we were introduced to a lot of new concepts. Irregulars, regulars, rankers, Shinso, the basic layout of the tower itself, and as I mentioned before, a ton of interesting characters. Episode 3 seems to focus on Khun, giving us more of his backstory. Starting out today's episode, we see a very nice rain effect going on where we see Khun being thrown out on his ass. And what I first assumed was some kind of issue with family succession, it's only part of the story. Yes, during some kind of event where a Princess of Jihad is chosen, Khun seems to have sided with a girl named Maria over his own sister, which basically led to his entire branch of the family being exiled. And you can really tell that this has left a lasting impression. We see the voice and image of his mother seems to have been imprinted on him, something we see heavily focused on later on in today's episode. And I also have to question his relationship with said Maria. Of course, we're only given a snippet of it later on during the test, but there could have possibly been more going on between him and what they say is his half-sister. Of course, I jumped the gun with Bam and Rachel, so you know what? I'm putting this on the back burner for now. It turns out all this was basically a daydream, which is soon disrupted by Bam in a form of a very interesting question, something that Rack absolutely finds hilarious. Bam is asking about the giant blue thing on the ceiling. He wants to know what the hell that is. And Khun replies to, "Oh, you mean that? The sky?" Bam is wholeheartedly excited. "Wait, that's the sky?" Rack is just laughing his fucking ass off. What, Black Turtle over here doesn't know what the fucking sky is? Bam proceeds to go further down this line of questioning. Well, if that's the sky, at night, are there stars? Does it light up with stars? And once again, Rack literally laughs his ass off. I mean, his animation for his laughing was fucking hilarious. Khun proceeds to tell Bam that stars are merely a legend, and he doesn't even know if the sky really exists. What you're seeing up there is completely made out of Shinso. So not only is it the atmosphere itself, but everything is comprised of this element. So I'm really hoping, knowing this and seeing how everything in this area is able to be manipulated by Shinso, I'm hoping each and every level of the tower has its own unique atmosphere and design to it. That means this series world building can be truly limitless. Now, of course, the conversation quickly turns. Khun somehow gets on the motivation of Rachel and why she was taking care of Bam in the first place. Of course, with a slip of the tongue calling Rachel odd, this actually pisses Bam off, something that Rack is quick to notice. Ha ha ha, blue turtle make black turtle mad, which again just shows off his comedic value. It definitely adds brevity and lightens up certain moments because as we see going forward, this is a game of life and death, echoed by the death screams we hear coming from the next room. As the group is pondering what could lie ahead, they are interrupted by a perfect example of character creation. Yes, like I said before, Balloon Man, or as Khun puts it, fluorescent plastic bag man, who just happens to have a clue and he's only gonna give it to this group. Talk about fucking suspicious, but I honestly, I really do like the voice actor. It fit perfectly with this dude's design. Bam's naive curiosity is piqued. Okay, go ahead and give us a clue. Meanwhile, Khun seems to be being extra careful, once again showcasing his issue with trust. But of course, I mean, we hear the hint. It's time. 5 minutes. Anyone who has passed has done it under 5 minutes. Meanwhile, everyone else seems to have screamed out in bloody pain. Still, upon hearing this, Khun is once again quick to dismiss him. And this is where we see a slip of tongue. Whether it is accidental or on purpose, I'm not quite sure. Of course, Balloon Man has to bring up the whole issue we saw in today's flashback, referring to Khun as the abandoned son of the Khun family, once again cementing the fact that this is more like a Japanese style, main family, branch family. Obviously, Khun is the main family, while Aguero must be the branch family. And this fucking sets Khun off, especially when he brings up the betrayal part, because we don't know a lot about, we just know what happened, not how it happened. But this pisses him off to the point where he literally dons his fucking blade and goes to pop this fucking balloon. And of course, Rack is raring to fucking fight. He goes, goes, oh, a fight? Fucking I'm in, dude. Fucking you let me out. Just point and I'll fight. Like, I'm actually really liking this dude's character. Of course, this fight amounts to nothing. Khun soon recollects himself and the group enters the next test. And this is where we get another character introduction. And probably the first butcher of today? I'm not 100% sure, but in the subtitles, his name is Yu Han Song, but everyone calls him Yuhan. Am I missing something there? But for now, I'll refer to him as Yu. He seems to be the director in charge of the next text, where Bam questions, Khun, hey, is this guy, this guy seems to be pretty important. Of course, Khun replies with a, yeah, he's a pretty big deal. I'm surprised he's even here. Now, again, I don't know if he is a ranker or exactly how does the hierarchy of this tower organization work? Like, can only rankers issue tests? Like, we know that Leroux is because the episode admits it, but this one just says, I'm the director of the test, and we know that he is important. Instantly after that, Yu sets up the test. Simply pick the right door. You're given a time limit, you get one chance, and if you fail, you'll be forcibly terminated. And this is where he proceeds to open up a giant pit within the floor. Very sci-fi-ish. You can see a manipulation of the Shenso going on. But whatever was in this pit was enough to shock each member of the group. I mean, it must have been gruesome, and obviously this is where all those death rattles were coming from. And with that, Yu declares the test has begun. Everyone protests us like, hey, that's not enough information. You gotta give us more clues. He's like, dude, I gave you guys enough. Of course, this pisses Rack off, and he is instantly annoyed. Annoyed so much to the point where he is literally crawling, climbing on the walls. Meanwhile, with a glimpse of Yu's inner monologue, it definitely suggests that there's more than meets the eyes when it comes to this test. Of course, Khun is busy, contemplating the next move, and once again, an image of his mother echoes in his brain. We get to see what resembles like a mental breakdown. Flashbacks of Balloon Guy, his mother, and Maria, and that's where we get a, one of those slip of tongues where, hey, that's gross. What? They're half siblings. Wasn't there something going on? So like I said, that's why I question the relationship between those two characters. The sequence is stopped as we see a comparison between the younger, more, I guess you would say, innocent Khun is reflected in Bam's, innocent quest to find Rachel. It's a very nice thematic sequence, but we cut back to the real world. Panic is setting in and time is running out. And Rack does the unthinkable. He kicks open a random door. Yes, he claims it was his instinct and then, his deductive prowess, but in the end, it was just his lack of patience. Yes, the key to passing this test was simply opening any door within the first 5 minutes. This pisses Khun off, demanding you to tell him what this test was actually about. Boiled down to it, it was a test of trust versus doubt, saying, going forward, you're gonna have to have, those companions willing to take action with no hesitation. And upon exiting this area, you ask Khun a question. Do you have what it takes to protect the eyes that don't know doubt? Obviously referring to Bam when, we literally cut to him. But it can also be implying there's more to Bam than what we merely see on the surface. Following this, we are hit with a montage of several of what I would consider our main teams to be passing said test. In doing so, giving us a surprising glimpse at Shibisu's deductive abilities? Who would have thought? Even more surprising was the fact that the Balloon Guy was working for Yu the whole time. Yes, giving Bam's group the little hint under Yu's behest. And it leads me to wonder about Yu's intentions, especially when it comes to Khun, because we saw in the last week's episode, the ending sequence actually gave us his full name, where Yu was surprised yet more excited to see that Khun had made his way to him. Now, meanwhile, while all this was going on, it seems another series of tests involving a different group was going on. Remember that giant battle royale where 400 had to be cut down to 200 and then everyone had to pair up in teams of 3? Well, it seems Quant, the overseer of the first test, decided to basically mash stage 1 and stage 2 together, and in doing so, a group of 3 individuals was able to wipe out everyone else in under 30 minutes. 3 3 cloaked figures. A giant man, at least I assume he's a man, wielding a bloody blade, as well as 2 smaller individuals. One seems to be a blonde-haired freckled girl, and it got me excited. What? Does the time match up? What the fuck's going on? How is she? But Bam X, didn't he get in the tower at? What? Of course, when Quant and you are discussing the events of this, he brings up the fact, was there any irregulars there, or maybe a Princess of Jihad? He's like, I'm pretty sure there wasn't, but I mean, they were fucking cloaked figures, so who the fuck knows? Soon after this discussion ends, you contacts LaRoe. Well, it seems there was, method behind his madness. Our main group, which was waiting for the next test, the next overseer, or the next director, I mean, however you want to put it, LaRoe shows up before them and announces, hey, I'm giving you guys the opportunity to perform in a bonus test, the winners of which will be automatically deemed worthy to climb the tower. And of course, all of our main groups agree. Yeah, okay, we're in. The next test up is called the Crown Game, which is basically King of the Hill. Take the crown, sit on the throne, and defend it, and you basically win. And as the teams are gathered in this next arena, so is the group that completely massacred everyone else I was just talking about, including the freckled girl. Once again, we see a little glimpse. Even Bam gets a glimpse and is like, huh? What? What's that over there? Who's that? It seems there's gonna be several rounds to this game. Everyone is trying to test the waters, but of course, Anok's group is like, fuck this, we're going out. She basically tells Hots and Shibisu like, hey guys, sit this one out, I got it. And once again, we get a lot of action when it comes to her. Her fucking sword's amazing. I don't know if it's like almost reminds me of Zabimaru, where it's like, it's a blade form, but it can also stretch like a fucking whip, and then like pulls, like the segments pull back together. It leads a pretty badass, animated fight with this other group. I mean, she takes one guy and whips him against the fucking wall, smashes the other guy's face in, blood goes everywhere. One of the guys literally goes in for a punch, and her head is so hard it does nothing except hurt the guy's fucking hand. Like, it was a pretty badass scene. And even the way they try to pull a sneaky move and not really take her head on and just go straight for the crown, she is easily able to move past them, and in this kind of tornado whip attack that sends wind flying everywhere, she's able to easily take them out. And with that, the fight is seemingly over. But 2 things very interesting happen. First of all, I would have put Shibisu on, the throne with the crown, but no, Anok takes it. And I mean, I have to go over the rules one more time, but I'm pretty sure while the crown person has to sit on the throne and cannot get up, it didn't say they can't attack. And with her fucking ability, do you really want to fight her? But the more interesting thing is, with that giant wind final attack, not only does it knock Bam off his feet, but it also flips that freckle girl's hood up just slightly to unveil Rachel? Like, is this Rachel? Even Bam questions. That's what the episode ends on. Rachel? Wow, that was a really good episode. Once again, let me start out by saying I have to highlight the visual aesthetics of the episode. I mean, so good when it comes to, the visual effects, the rain effect, the image inside the eyelid, the composition, just everything was awesome. The fight scene was well choreographed, and I loved how they were able to capture slow motion, but they didn't lose out on the weight, because sometimes when you do a slow motion effect, it loses all its dynamic feeling. There's no weight to the images, they're just flying off screen or something. This one, it kept it. Like when Anok does the slow motion, fall from grace, whatever you want to call it, and she lands on the throne. It's slow, but you feel that there's actually weight to her clothes, weight to her hair. It looks visually appealing. But when it comes to the episode itself, I mean, we got a bunch of information on Khun and his backstory. I absolutely love that. We got introduced to a slew of new characters. We got Weird Balloon Guy, we've got you, we've got the 3 mysterious characters, which one is Rachel? Like, that poses the biggest question. She entered the tower before him, so how does he get ahead of her? Like, is this Rachel? Like, but the Black March says time doesn't work right, so if he entered after her, does that technically not equate to her being there before him? Like, maybe I'm thinking too much into it. Hopefully we get some more information next week, because chronologically it doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I'm digging the series. Like I said, my rule of 3s, it's episode 3, and I'm pretty much hooked. I want to see where this story goes. Like, it's got a lot of potential to it, especially when I saw that like this world is created with this element known as Shinso, or I believe he called it divine water or god water. Like, there's just a lot of concepts that I'm getting with, like even the princess selection. Like, now I'm theorizing summarizing this, that the Princesses of Jihad are chosen individuals. So they're almost like a priestess to a god. Like, is that what's going on with the princesses? Like, my brain is racking. I'll probably watch this one more time before I go to bed, but I think 3 times right now is enough. So let me know what you guys think. If you made it this far in the video, applause to you, because this one's fucking long. I tried to get, as much detail as I possibly could. I watched it several times. But yeah, today's episode is badass. Badass. I really do enjoy this series. So with that being said, I cannot wait for future episodes.